This is the car I dreamed about as a kid growing up in Cuba. While everyone else was chasing reality, I was simply chasing pixels with my friends. And fast forward 16 years later, I set out to build that exact car. My real life personal tribute to the legend that truly changed my childhood. And the craziest part, we dropped a 6.0 liter American engine in it. But 8 months ago, we stopped. But we really started struggling when we went ahead, took out the stock BMW motor, and put in a 6.0 liter LS engine into here. When I'm telling you I had sleepless nights, I'm really not joking. This is the most important video because we're finally really finishing everything. Before we see this hood on the car, we gotta put on the latches. And man, I just cannot wait to see this bumper on the car by the end of this video. The amazing thing about these older BMWs is everything is really simple. To throw on the hood latches, it's only 3 bolts holding it on, and there's 1 on each side. After that's done, we throw on the plastic shroud that goes in the front of the car. And we're going to be throwing the CAN bus module from Wiring Specialties into this little cubby because it fits perfect. This CAN bus module pretty much allows our digital cluster to work like a regular BMW, even though we have an LS engine in the car. And not only do I want to put everything back together, we need to clean up the engine bay. And that starts with simple things, like rerouting the alternator wire. I think it's going to look way cleaner going through the top of the engine right under the fuel rail. See, it's just the little things. As you saw, this little cover looks really nice and it covered up a lot of the wiring harness. Unfortunately, this generation of the BMW forgot they have another piece right here and it literally doesn't come with a cover. It's just a Mariana Trench size hole right on the side. But I think I'm gonna do some DIY fix on this with some cardboard. After getting the right measurements, I thought of a really good idea. Let's cut a little slit on the firewall so this positive cable can go directly into the positive terminal instead of it going over the firewall and not looking really nice. And then to get into the terminal, we're cutting up a little slit or a little window for the wire to be able to go connected to the terminal nice and OEM plus. And putting back the OEM plastic pieces is definitely going to make the engine look a whole lot cleaner. I mean, it already looks so much better and this is going to help a ton. Thank God I didn't throw these things away. I ended up cutting up and just putting a random piece of plastic I had laying around and that looks presentable, much better than just seeing all the wires in there. This right here goes to the custom intake we still have to do. Aside from that, we need to go ahead and figure out what to do with this oil filter. If it stays there, it hits the steering rack and that just can't really happen, so we gotta figure that out. This oil filter. Throwing an LS engine into a BMW is fun, but things like this makes it not as fun. Ultimately, we're going to have to redo the oil lines and make them a little bit longer, but for now, we were able to really tug the oil filter right up here, a little too close to the headers for my liking. Those are my headers, and that is my oil filter. Yeah, definitely not the greatest spot, but temporarily that's gonna stay right there because I do have to make longer AN lines, so I can probably put it somewhere up here away from the headers. But in the bright side, now it's not gonna hit the steering shaft and we can actually drive the car. On goes the belt, and obviously we gotta give it some tension, and then we can start putting this car back together, starting with the bash bar. Ooh, I haven't seen this car fully put together in so long. The headlights look incredible, but obviously a massive piece that it's still missing is the hood. We have no help right now, so the fitment's not gonna be 100%, but right now, I just need to get the hood on the car. Later, we can really worry about playing with the fitment because all this needs to be refitted. Since it's custom, everything goes out of whack, and we need it to be perfect. And talking about perfect, looks like we have a slight leak. Yeah, that's cool. And weirdly enough, you would think it's leaking from the hose, but it's actually not. It is leaking from the sensor up there itself. This one up here, so I think I'm just gonna have to get another sensor and another radiator hose. Okay, second, I guess you could say issue we're having. As you guys know, we had to go ahead and connect the fuel pump directly to the 12-volt for the battery because we just couldn't get it to prime with the key on. Well, I think we figured out the issue. Huge thank you to Wiring Specialties. I spoke with them on the phone, and the way they do things, the fan for the car as well as the fuel pump turn on when they detect a ground. Now, I thought I was gonna have to go ahead and dive into wiring, but as you can see, Eric is on the computer right now and he can actually set it. When the key's on, it sends a ground signal to the fans and the fuel pump, so it works as it should. Everything does seem to already be on ground though, which I'm a little weird out. Unfortunately, the fueling never worked and the fans never worked. And that's where we left off. Ladies and gentlemen, today is the day where we get back to my very own barn find. Obviously, that's an absolute joke. This isn't a barn find, but technically, it's like a house find. This car has been sitting here untouched, never started for the last almost year. But first, does it start? Obviously, it's missing all the panels and everything, but sheesh. First things is, check the oil level. It's been sitting for so long, you honestly never know. And if I seize another motor, you're really never gonna see the car again. But the oil level is perfect. I truly wonder if it's gonna start or not. Oh no, it's dead. Oh yeah. With a little jump start, I think it should be good. America, baby! Starts right up. That's crazy. Crazy! Oh no, it died. Why did it die? Why did it die? Turns out it's just because I didn't fully tighten the negative terminal on the battery. Alright. This thing is so loud, I truly feel horrible for my neighbors. There's a V8 in there, American V8.
It's like, wait a second. This is a European car.
Yeah.
There is a muscle car inside. So
Yeah.
we got a European
V8.
body with a heart of an American.
Yep.
I like that.
He has got absolutely gold, and that's another reason why I love this car. It just brings people happiness, except me. This car brings me depression. September 4, 2024. That is the last time you guys saw this car on this channel. To be honest, throughout the whole process and all the headaches and frustration, I fell out of love with it in a way. I guess I just needed a little break, a little setback, work on other things so we can give this build a rest. But now we're back, baby, better than ever. And in this video, we have a lot of upgrades, a lot of things to fix, and I'm so excited. But I'm quickly learning why you should never, ever leave an older car sitting for months on months. Turns out the passenger door is stuck. Okay, so I had all the modifications planned out. We were gonna take care of the interior first, but I think we should get started with making this door open again. For some reason, the mechanism is not working at all. I believe it just got stuck in double lock, meaning I might need a whole new lock actuator or door actuator. To be honest, I don't even know, but I could not get it open. Need For Speed BMW 1, Danny 0. Let's face it, we deserve that for leaving it sitting for so long. But with that being said, we gotta move on. We have a lot of things to do. We'll fix the door later. Even though, yes, that issue with the door is pretty bad and we have to figure that out because, well, we need a door. We need to continue where we left off with this car, and it is a pretty tricky situation. Here's the deal. Currently, the only way for the fuel pump to turn on so we can drive the car is directly connecting it to the battery, which is terrible. Power wire for the fuel pump, we connected there, and that's the fuel pump turning on. Now you guys know the drill. Since we're putting this car back on the road, it needs to be protected with a dash cam, and what better way to use Vioful's A329, which is the world's first 4K 60 frames per second dash cam. What? Meet the Vioful A329, the dash cam that doesn't just record but captures every moment in buttery smooth detail. Look at this camera. That is nice. And of course, a camera for the rear. And even in a car with little to no interior, this is going to be the easiest install ever. We put the camera right there. We also already put in the SD card. Boom. Oh, that is sick. Right into the cigarette lighter, since I'm not really looking into hardwiring it. And thanks to the dual Sony Starvis 2 sensors, both the front and the rear cameras punch an insane clarity. Even at night, like there's no grainy stuff going on. This thing captures smooth, sharp, and you're gonna be able to tell a lot of things that you wouldn't tell on lower end cameras. There's also an app you can connect to the camera and view everything on there. And if you're like me and you record everything, do not worry, the A329 supports SSD storage, so you're never gonna run out of space. And I truly believe the 60 frames per second is such an important thing. Like, you can slow down footage, you can do so much with it. But this camera, it's so nice. It's slick, it's clean, it looks very good, and it has a major purpose, which is keeping everybody safe. You never know what can happen on the road, and since this car is going back on the road, we desperately need a dash cam. With that being said, link will be in the description. Thank you so much to Biofo for sponsoring today's video. Of course, our sponsor. Yeah, let's get back to finishing up this car. I can't wait to see how many clips we're gonna get of people's reaction to this car with the dash cam. It is that time to make everything 100% functionably good. And that means creating our own relays, fuses, and pretty much wiring up our fans and our fuel system. I have no idea how to do this, but let's figure it out together. We have 2 relays, one for the fan and one for the fuel pump. But if you don't know what a relay is, let's put it this way. A relay is like using a remote to turn on your TV. You're not walking up and flipping the switch yourself like in the 1700s. You just press the button and boom, full power. The ECU is the remote. The relay is the TV's brain. And the fuel pump, well, that's actually what powers on. Low effort and high voltage. Unfortunately, it starts with some wiring. So we have to tap into pin 2, which is on the bigger plug from the Holley Terminator ECU. And this pin, I believe, goes to number 86, which is the signal wire for the fuel pump to turn on. Where's the ECU, you may ask? Right down there where the door doesn't open.
Here we go again.
Oh gosh. Oh. Wait, what am I doing? Why am I like this? It's the other way. The door doesn't open. I love this car. I'm going to be honest, this is actually my first time installing a relay. At first, it sounded a little complicated, like ECU signals, power, triggers. I'm not an engineer. I learned from YouTube. But once you break it down, it's actually not that bad. It's just 4 wires, power in, power out, ground, and signal. And to make it even cleaner, I did grab the same color coordinated wiring, because if we're gonna do this, it's gotta look kind of good too, right? Also, one massive thing I almost overlooked, one wire coming out of the relay does have to be fused, and that is the one that goes directly to the battery to protect the circuit, and we don't want things to get a little smoky. This is the scariest part for me, tapping into ECU wiring. Thankfully, we did find the correct pin. That's pin 2 right there. That one right there. But you can use this various ways. You can use this little tapper, or you can do what I did and use a solder stick. I don't recommend you do this because it was a little bit harder since you can't really pull on the wire and get everything right. But thankfully it worked, and now we have ground signal from the ECU to tell the pump to turn on. Soldered on there, welded on there, that is never coming off. And I'm hoping that the fuel pump primes when we twist the key. I'm nervous because if it doesn't prime, we could have possibly messed something up. And oh, I don't think I hear it. Nope, we failed. You can't make this up. I forgot to put the relays in. Okay, that's in. I heard the relay. If I were a betting man, I would bet that I made another really silly mistake. Here we go. I'm such an idiot. We forgot to put the fuse. So obviously it's not getting 12 volts from the battery. Nothing is happening. Here we go, here we go. Yes! I think I heard it prime for 2 seconds. Let's see. Let's go. This honestly had me worried, but I'm so happy we figured it out. Now we have to make things look nice. I purchased wiring loom, and we're pretty much looming all the exposed wiring so it looks nice and it's not a yellow, blue, red wire all combined together. Look how much better that's already looking. And obviously the seat delete is going to be over this, so you're not even going to see the loom, but in case you ever lift a seat, it's gonna be nice. And now we can get rid of the improper wire that was going directly to the battery. What a massive W. Let's go. And check this out, a perfect little spot for the relay. Our battle with the wiring is almost done. This is pretty much the final thing we really have to wire, and that is the fans for the car. And we do need to tap into pin number 3, which is fan relay 1 on the smaller plug on the computer. And that should be it for sketchy wiring for me. No going back now. 3, 2, 1. Man, even though we did find the correct pin and we cut it for no reason, wiring up the fan was an absolute nightmare. For starters, I jumped into the standalone ECU program called Holly just to make sure the pin layout is good. Well, unfortunately, I absolutely erased all the data that was in the ECU, and that wasn't fun. Thankfully, on this little handheld device that comes with the Holly Terminator X Max, it saved the file, so we were able to load it back into the ECU and we're good to go. My goal was to use the stock fan because everything fits so perfectly. I'm also using the stock coolant reservoir, which mounts to the fan, and everything's perfectly. But we can't seem to do that because I think things are just wired very improperly in the harness itself. I'll put electric fan number 2. For some reason, whenever I click to turn on the fan, the fuel pump turns on. There's a seriously wrong wiring nest going on. And examining the whole wiring loom is not in my future. These are just things that happen when you do something this crazy. An American engine in a BMW and still try to use BMW's mechanism. We're ditching this bad boy and we're gonna get a simple 2-wire fan, and then we can use the relay connected to the Holly. Everything's gonna be 100% perfect. Now we have to purchase another fan, and well, we have to wait for it to get here. But we're not gonna stop until then. There's one thing this car desperately needs, like, it's bad. These brake rotors literally look like they've been sitting at the bottom of the Titanic wreckage for its whole lifetime. Not only that, they're too small for the massive engine that we have in the car right now, and they simply don't grab your attention. So today we're going to be doing an incredible retrofit that's going to make the brakes look and function absolutely incredible. I haven't jacked up this car in so long. I can't lie, I'm actually pretty excited to be back working on this car. Comment below, what is that one childhood dream car of yours that you would love to own or even build one day? But check out the coolest thing. One of the coolest things about this car. You guys read what that says right there? Need For Speed E46. Are you kidding? That is so sick. Step 1 to the ultimate Need For Speed brakes. Import M3 CSL rotors. Oh yeah. M3 CSL rotors. Oh my gosh. CSL pretty much means lightweight track weapon. The CSL had carbon fiber everything, no rear seats, brakes made to stop at the Nürburgring speeds, and now those same rotors are on the V8 Suave Need For Speed inspired E46. I feel like these are bigger than the ones on the 340i, but these were a little pricey. I believe the both of them just for the front cost me around $700, maybe $600 and something. For this car, we can splurge a little bit, right? And for the rear rotors, we couldn't do anything crazy fancy like the front, but we still got some nice drilled and slotted rotors. Are you kidding me right now? The CSL rotors are 45mm larger in diameter and 6mm thicker. Step 2 to the ultimate brakes for the Need For Speed car. Bigger calipers. If you're new to the channel, you don't know this, but my first ever car was an E92 335i. Well, we got some E90X brakes for this car, and they're so much bigger. Look at the size difference. That's gonna look insane. What? Now, yes, there's a lot of retrofitting going on, but after doing some serious research online, this might actually work. And well, step 3 is a pretty simple one. Paint, but not just paint. I spent way too much money on this Le Mans blue paint color for the calipers. I think it's gonna look beautiful because the blue of the car is a Le Mans blue, so I think it's gonna look incredible. We're getting a little too fancy for my liking, but I think it's going to look absolutely perfect. But what's not perfect are these brakes, and it's not gonna be fun to sand everything down and really bring them back to life so then we can spray onto them. This is gonna be a lot of work. Now that we really sanded out the calipers, we can throw the primer on because we need to primer before we throw the real paint on. This is a step that a lot of people skip, and then the paint just pretty much peels and never really sticks to where it needs to stick. First coat is on, and that looks pretty good. Funny enough, this is also my first ever time painting a caliper when it's not on the car, so it's a whole lot easier. But then I made another rookie mistake. This is why you don't have cans side by side. Oh my god. Thankfully, it's not in the big piece, but man, learn from my mistakes, y'all. Mistakes aside, I did 2 good coats of paint, and now it is time for the clear coat. This is what's going to really give it that nice shine that we want. Are you guys ready for this? Look how insanely good this looks. I really did not think they were gonna turn out this nice. Are you kidding me?
That's a nice color.
It's called Le Mans Blue.
That is beautiful.
Right?
I love that.
Next up, we do have to let those calipers bake in the sun. So while we do that, let's remove the OEM brake caliper. We also did get 335i brake lines because if we use these small ones, that'll stretch and it's not gonna work. First things we have to do is disconnect the brake line. It's so cool how every single BMW has a brake line in the same location, same bracket, everything. That just goes to show if it works, no reason to change it. After the brake line is off, then there's 2 bolts in the back of the caliper. You remove those and voila, the caliper is out. To remove the rotor, there's a little bolt that holds it in place. Thankfully, ours didn't strip. After that's removed, a couple taps and the rotor comes right off. Okay, since the rotor's off, I'm gonna use the opportunity. I do want to paint all this black. I think it's gonna be a way cooler look. So let's wrap, because we don't want this getting color on it. You're not going to see blue overspray or some exposed metal. It's all gonna be nice and dark and clean. Look how much better and cleaner this looks. I mean, wow. That is amazing. Ooh, that's for sure a 10 out of 10 idea. It's just these little details that make the car look that much better. Now, unfortunately, I did miss one thing in this whole retrofit. The little bolt that holds in the rotor is too short for the new rotor. We gotta find a longer bolt. Okay, I have a temporary solution. I don't really have another bolt, so what we're going to do is we're gonna use this bolt, and then when everything's on properly, we're gonna be able to take it off. Honestly, this doesn't even look real. I mean, look at the size difference. That is insane. New rotors are on, the new brake lines are looking really nice. But the one thing that is worrying me is, are the 335i calipers going to fit with no retrofitting or anything needed? Now, if I did my research correctly, this should bolt right up to the stock knuckle and everything should work like OEM. Oh my gosh. Are you serious right now? That's 1.
And that's 2. Let's go. Are you kidding me? That is sick.
I don't think I've ever put Teflon on brake lines, but to be honest, I'd rather be safe than sorry, especially with retrofitting stuff. Incredible, everything works how it should. What an awesome direct bolt-on upgrade. Seeing it off the car, it looked good, but seeing it on the car fully assembled, woo, that looks incredible. And not only that, now we're going to have even better stopping power. Are these like bigger brakes and rotors, bro? They look sick.
Yeah,
they
they're
look pretty sick. How do you do them?
Yeah, you know, big brake upgrade. Nothing crazy, you know.
Now for the rear, as I mentioned, we're not going too fancy with it. We're just doing a nice simple rotor upgrade, and of course, we're painting the calipers Le Mans blue, like the front brakes. It may sound simple, but I do believe it's gonna look so much better. That took a little longer than I expected, but the front and rear brakes are done. They're looking absolutely amazing. I cannot forget to bleed them though, but we need to jump into the fan and the fan setup because my biggest fan came in. Here is my biggest fan. 16-inch fan. Let's try to retrofit this. My first time ever doing something like this, but I think we got it. Step one is remove the current fan. Now, I'm the one that put it in and I don't remember how to take it out. Oh, pfft. That was so easy. The plan is to pretty much retrofit the new fan into the old fan housing, which as you can see, it's being held on by 1, 2, 3 bolts. Now is that gonna work? I truly don't know. Luckily, after doing the fan housing, I noticed something that is absolutely incredible. Boom, that's a new fan. At least I'm hoping it fits. Oh, look at that. It does fit. Whoa, let's go. That fits perfectly on there. Right now, we're just gonna shave off a little bit of plastic off the housing, and then we'll figure out a mounting point, but let's go. And if you're wondering how we mounted the fan to this BMW housing, we use very high-tech technology that you guys have never... Yeah, we zip tied it on. It should be good, though. It should be good. And no one's ever gonna know it's zip tied, except for you guys. Thing goes like this. Right. Ow! Okay. Boom, look at that. Perfect. I was so worried about that fan setup. Thank God. Wow. Obviously, the plug for the fan is just 2 pins. Power and ground, which is going to be perfect. So now let's wire it up and hopefully it works as it should. The yellow wire that we brought up a little bit ago goes to the positive from the fan. I wired up the fan exactly how I thought it should be wired. I did a ton of research. We went into the program, checked all the pins, made sure it's giving it a ground signal to turn on. We even changed the temperature the fan would turn on to the point where it would just turn on if the key is on, and they never worked. It is nighttime and the fan is not working. Now, I completely disconnected it from the ECU, the wire that we pinned. It actually came apart and I thought that's why originally it didn't work, but no. I grounded it to the chassis because what the ECU basically does is it grounds that pin, so we're grounding it ourselves. We're not even talking to the ECU anymore, and it's still not turning on. Ladies and gentlemen, I think I found the issue. This white wire, I've been grounding it because I thought it was the ground. No, this actually goes to a 12-volt source, so the fans only work when the car's on. That being said, I think I'm just gonna temporarily put it to the battery, and if the fans turn on, then well, that's the issue. No, this is not how we're setting it up, and do not set it up like this or your car will probably catch on fire. We're just testing if the fans work or not. The fans work. We're going nice, simple, old school with a fan switch. Check this out. A switch that says cooling fans, and listen to it. Woo, ASMR. And for the little switch, we did 3D print a bracket. I absolutely love this 3D printer. It's come so in handy in moments like this. Perfect, look at that. That's why I love having a 3D printer. Something we could do is make the fuel pump another switch on this side. That'd be pretty neat. But first things first, let's wire this up and see if it works. Switch. Nope, nothing. At this point, it has to be something I'm doing wrong. Here we go, try number 6. If this doesn't work, I'm giving up. I got the wiring wrong, yes, let's go. Thinking about putting it right around here, and then all you have to do is, and they turn on, baby. Fuel pump and fan wiring done. Couldn't be happier. Now, one thing we almost forgot to do and we can't forget about is bleeding the brakes. Thank God we have my favorite tool of all time, this brake bleeder, which pretty much applies pressure to the reservoir, and then you can go to every single brake line, break it loose, and it pretty much gets rid of every bubble. Brakes are bled. Let's make an intake. So the great thing about LS engines is you can pretty much DIY an intake however you want. It's not a $3,000 carbon fiber intake for BMWs. Now, it's not going to be a complete intake because we're still waiting on one piece for the IAT sensor to bolt into. It gets here in a couple days. I'll be sure to throw that on, but for now, I just really want to set it up because I don't know if it's going to work. And I spent a total of $110, everything included, even a pipe with a custom fitting on it. Great. Now, the one thing I'm worried about is I hope I bought the right coupler. It should be... Oof, I bought the wrong couplers. Oh boy. Me and ordering the wrong things are pretty much best friends. But even though we did get sent the wrong size couplers, we can still pretty much make the intake and see if it fits properly. Most of the LS swaps I've seen out there have the 90-degree coupler and then a 45-degree angled pipe that goes into the passenger side wheel well. Even though it's a little tight, I'm really happy I went that route because everything seems to fit pretty decently. This is the most eBay looking filter I've ever owned. Okay, so that works actually. Look at that, that's perfect. One thing I did notice though, remember how I said I ordered a special piping so this can fit into it? I don't think I'm gonna be able to do that. That's definitely not gonna fit. So we're gonna have to weld this somewhere in this pipe. But most importantly, I don't know if that's gonna clear. Oof, that's tight. That's really tight on there. It works though. Let's go. Look at that. You can see the intake right through up here, which isn't great because water is going to get in, but that works. We just got to make it a whole lot prettier. Now it's time to put something on this car that has not been put on since we left it sitting almost a year ago. The front bumper. If you guys think this car looks good now, just wait. This thing is absolutely mental. Oh, wow. Look at that. That's actually... this wasn't even planned. Look at how insane this car looks with the bumper on. Oh my goodness. And now with a functioning fuel pump, fans, and intake, it's kind of a supercar slayer, right? Well, it does sure sound like it though. My gosh. I cannot believe it. With a ton of work, trial, and just trying things out, we did it. I built my ultimate dream E46 from Need For Speed. Younger me would definitely be proud of what we have done. Obviously, this car's not 100% done, but it is still insane. Even though this car was never easy since the very day we bought it, we had a goal in mind, we had a vision, we had passion, and we really went after it. It's one of those things where I'm extremely proud of, not because of how it looks, but because this car represents so much determination and overcoming of issues and so many other things. Even though it sat for around 8 months, I'm really happy we did all this to the car today and really brought it back to life and gave it the love it deserves. It's special to me. And I hope it's special to you guys. In regards to the door, it's still not opening. And of course, the exhaust. Well, about that one, we'll see you guys soon.